Texas, home of cheerleaders and football, the best barbecue joints, pickup trucks, cheap gas, locked and loaded citizens,
That's right.
and the Dallas-Fort Worth stockyards where cowboys roam with their cattle. That was
Chaos,
then.
baby.
This is now. Crowds marching down the same streets, no cattle, just hordes from a terror-linked Pakistani group seizing Texas streets for Prophet Muhammad's birthday parade, waving foreign flags, chants echoing where hooves once thundered. مرحبا 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 يا مصطفى مرحبا يا مرحبا वंदना सोमाय मीलाद शह अबरार है ईद दीवानों की जश्न आमद सरकार है. Driving through Dallas-Fort Worth, those classic barbecue joints and Buc-ee's are now replaced with Arab shopping plazas.
طبعا هذا البلازا هو واحد من البلازات العربية الموجود هون، هو يسمى القرية العربية المصغرة. شيء يمني، شيء سوري، شيء عربي، شيء فلسطيني، شيء ترتيبي. تشعر حالك انك فعلا في ارض الوطن.
The masjid, and right across they have these shops.
Listen to this.
Muslim mortgages. Just a mile from here, the epic grocery store with Haraz next to it. The life over here is totally different from any other city in America for Muslims.
Where Texas brisket and beaver nuggets ruled, now halal markets line the roads, and Pakistani and Palestinian flags fly high, overshadowing the Lone Star.
So is Texas the new frontier for Islam? You know, growing up, it was nothing but faith, family, football, and barbecue. But things have changed dramatically. So much so that growing up, I had never seen a Muslim. I'd never seen a mosque. And now I can go pretty much anywhere in DFW. I can go to a Walmart. I can go to a Costco. In fact, I was in a Costco yesterday, and I immediately saw within a few minutes 3 women in a hijab. I'd never seen that before in my life. So is Texas changing? Is Texas becoming the new frontier for Islam? Let's take a look at this one.
Assalamu alaikum. The Texas Muslim community needs your help. We have an opportunity today to buy one of the biggest churches in Texas and turn it into an Islamic center.
This is currently the church, but we have the chance, we'll have the opportunity, alhamdulillah, to convert it into a masjid and Islamic center as well.
Welcome to the future of living. Welcome to Epic City, commercial areas.
Now, by the way, this particular part of the video that you're looking at is just miles from where I live. And this Epic City is this master plan community with an HOA, so Homeowners Association dues. And here's the kicker with it. Now listen to this. The Homeowners Association, part of your dues are there to support and fund the mosque that's in the middle of the master planned community. Could you imagine this in any other scenario? Christians getting together and putting one church in a master plan community and forcing your HOA dues to go and support and build and sustain that particular church. It wouldn't happen in any other place. But thank God we have Governor Abbott, who has put a stop to this with our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, and made sure that this is on hold and on the stop because it's unconstitutional. But take a look at this artist's rendition of this epic city. That is, the EPIC is an acronym for the East Plano Islamic Council, and where they're creating a foothold right here in the very heart of Texas in the Metroplex of Dallas. Take a look.
Welcome to Epic 2.0. Epic City is more than just a neighborhood. It's a way of life, a meticulously designed community that brings Islam to the forefront.
Wow. Now think about this. You heard it's a way of life. It brings Islam to the forefront. They are telling us exactly what their blueprint is. It's not just an invasion. In fact, I think that's wrong. We've been inviting them in. We're saying colonize America with Islam. Colonize America with Islamic values, even to the point of allowing Sharia law. Now, we need to get up to speed on this because the colonization has really began, and it's going to continue. I'm about to show you a clip that was on Capitol Hill on a subcommittee that is on the Islamification of America and specifically Texas. So let's take a look at this next clip.
Ms. Child, again, remind you to turn your microphone on, and you have 5 minutes.
Amazing statistics that she's about to share here at this subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of Congress. I'm Krista Shield, the Texas State Director for Rare Foundation USA. I stand before you from deep love for America, our Constitution, and the religious liberties it guarantees every citizen. As a Christian who cherishes this nation, I fiercely defend its founding principles of freedom, equality, and self-governance. On September 11th, 2001, as an American Airlines flight attendant, I watched the second plane slam into the tower. My heart sank. The world changed in that moment.
It did.
Freedom itself was under siege. After 9/11, we believed the war was far away. Our brave military went overseas to fight. We thought we were safe, but we were tragically wrong. A planned invasion took root, concealed and deliberate, foreign and Islamic.
And I would say this once again, not just an invasion, planned invasion, yes, but a planned colonization of the Islamification of America, and specifically here in Texas as well. Listen what she says.
Islamic terror-tied networks quietly infiltrated every layer of Texas life while we looked away. I travel across Texas listening to communities. Residents tell me their neighborhoods are becoming unrecognizable. Streets once familiar now echo with foreign calls to prayer that drown out church bells. Sons who fought these very forces abroad return to find their hometowns starting to resemble the Middle East that they risked their lives to defend us against. Texas is ground zero for the Islamic conquest of America. We are deep into a 1,400-year Islamic immigration conquest pattern, a patient, relentless strategy of settlement, infiltration, and eventual dominance.
Now, when she says a 1,400-year pattern, by the way, she's specifically earmarking from the birth of Islam in the 7th century with Muhammad, and then all the way through the Crusades and into the Western world, which last 1,400 years. And it's not only the enemies at our gates, but it's inside of our walls. And this is the heart of what she's saying here. Listen.
The Muslim Brotherhood's 1991 explanatory memorandum entered in federal court calls it a, quote, civilization jihadist process to destroy the West from within. That plan has been capturing Texas for over 35 years. We now have over 330 mosques. CARE calls them, quote,
it's
our
higher than that now.
Erdogan calls them, quote, our barracks. At least 650 Islamic nonprofits channeling influence, dozens of Islamic scholars and banks promoting Sharia compliance finance, more than $4 billion in taxpayer funds routed to Islamic entities since 2017, our own money fueling our demise. Islamic leaders telling us they want to implement Sharia. They glorify chopping off hands, killing homosexual apology. Aggressive conversion campaigns, including terror-tied groups, enter public schools without parental consent to distribute.
I will pause here for just a moment. There was a high school. What she's referring to, this was done around 3 or 4 weeks ago at Capitol Hill up in Washington, D.C. in a subcommittee regarding the Islamification of America and specifically Texas. Now, what she's referring to is without parental consent. Right there in Plano, where this epic city is, there was a group that began to distribute at lunchtime at a table. It got approved by the principal to set up a table, to hand out bags, to say, what is Islam? What is Sharia law? And then you could come, and they did it on National Hijab Day. And in the bag that you would get with the pamphlets of paraphernalia on what is Islam and what is Sharia, you could also don a hijab, take a selfie, and show your solidarity with Islam. Without parental consent, you can only imagine, you can Google this, what happened to the parents when they found out when their sons and daughters came home that day. That's what she was referring to.
Qurans, Sharia pamphlets, and hijabs to students. The East Plano Islamic Center, EPIC, rebranded, quote, the Meadows, an enclave led by Imam Yasser Qadi, who calls Jews and Christians, quote, the most evil of all evils, and demands Islamic theocracy over democracy. These are emerging no-go zones, active Sharia courts. In the last legislative session, 2 Pakistani-born representatives introduced over 20 bills advancing Sharia, mandating halal in Texas schools, Muslim Heritage Month, quote, Islamophobia, censorship.
Now, if you're not familiar, when she uses the term halal, you might have heard the term kosher within Judaism. It's a way to prepare the food. It's types of food, no pork, etc. And there was demand by this Islamic Council to create within our public school systems halal-based food as an option for the Islamic students. So they have their own separate food preparation and types of food that they would have. Can you imagine?
Laws to silence critics. We already see Sharia enforcement in Texas, patrols pressuring Houston Muslim businesses to conform, imams berating Muslims for speaking to Christians, and families imposing deadly punishments on those who refuse to submit. My own family was connected to 2 young Texas girls who chose to date non-Muslims. They were murdered by their own father for not conforming to Islam. That pain drives me every day. These examples are not isolated. This is not assimilation. It is strategic infiltration and conquest. It is patient, multi-generational, and often funded by taxpayers.
Now, she used a term just a moment ago with what she just said about no-go zones. And the Muslims don't use the term no-go zones, but when you set up an entire community that ostracizes yourself against the other American public and against the Constitution with your own banks, your own restaurants, your own financing, your own neighborhoods, you begin to not only not assimilate, you ostracize yourself from the rest of the American community, which is against the American Christian values. So you don't assimilate, you create your own enclaves. And this is why I think the term colonization is a word that we could all understand. They're colonizing Islam within the American culture.
If we do not act, Sharia will dominate. We're here today to bring you legislative evidence and have submitted that.
Now, I am very proud to say this. She just said if we don't act, Sharia will dominate. Sharia basically means in its Arabic, it's the guidelines, it's the rules of behavior for the Islamic way. Now, when you think of this, this is what a lot of Muslims want to do. They want to impose the Islamic way upon the American culture. Governor Abbott, our governor, has banned Sharia law legally here in the state of Texas. I don't know how long that's going to hold. I don't know if it's going to be upheld, but right now, that is the directive from our governor. So thank God we're putting a stop to that, but not all states are doing this. So we're going to take a look at this next clip, and I want to give you a couple of videos, but let's take a look at some stats. Since 1985, I thought, okay, what has the last 40 years been like here in the state of Texas, where I'm born and raised, where I currently live? In the last 40 years, I wanted to Google and just ask the question, how many mosques did we have in the state of Texas in 1985? So approximately 40 years span. Well, let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen here, and I want you to see what I found on Google Gemini, and I think you're going to find it quite disturbing. So let me share this, and I'm going to show you the, let me get to it right here. How many mosques were in Houston, Texas in 1995 versus today, so approximately 40 years. I want you to notice 3 to 6 mosques in the entire greater Houston area, the third largest city in the country 40 years ago. There are over 210 plus in the city of Houston. Then I asked the next question, what about Dallas? How many mosques were there in DFW 1985 versus today? And it broke it down a little bit different, county, et cetera. But the total amount in 1985 in DFW was 4 to 8. And now there's over 130 mosques in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So when we look at growth, when we begin to see not only the growth of Islam, we see the Islamification within the state of Texas. So now, I want to show you one last clip. Tommy Robinson, who is from the UK, and he has been really a crusader, no pun intended, a crusader against the immigration and the Islamification of the UK. And I want to show you in this particular video clip, he came to DFW here this past week, and he was with a couple, and he went to Epic City. He went to this area, or at least by Epic City. Epic City is the master plan community they want to build, but where the current large mosque is, and with all the houses around it, in some ways they've already set this up, at least in principle. So I want you to take a look at what Tommy Robinson says here. I want you to notice the homes. These are not your average homes. And this is where a lot of the Muslims live, right around as it butts up against this mosque in this area in East Plano. Let's take a look. Look at the size of this house. I thought it was a building at first, a professional building. It's a home,
Islamic city in Texas,
one home.
Where the names of the roads are going to be after Islamic conquerors, not Islamic peacemakers, men that have conquered entire swathes of areas. What message does that tell you, America? What's it tell you, Texans? They see this as a quest of conquer. They're conquering you. They're conquering your land. And just by walking around there, you ask yourself, do you feel conquered? Does it look conquered?
They are naming these streets. I've seen them. They're naming the streets after Islamic jihadists on the streets of Texas, right here in the heart of the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. The audacity, really the kahunas they have to do this is amazing. But guess what? They've done it. And this is what Tommy Robinson is seeing with his own eyes for the first time he's ever visiting Texas.
Good. If they're building Islamic cities and naming them after jihadist conquerors, what message does that send you? Are they here to assimilate and integrate, or are they here to dominate? As I said, mashallah house. Beautiful house, but
look at that.
It's not for you, America. Huge mosques built, entire swathes of shops built for the Islamic community. Americans
notice it says the Medina Villas, the second holiest city in all of Islam and Saudi Arabia, named right here.
Islamic enclaves, which is what we've seen across the whole of Europe. America, it's here. Medina Villas, named after Medina in Saudi Arabia. It's the changing face of America. But you don't want to end up like Europe, Western Europe. You have the chance to look at our failures and learn from them. But instead of learning from them, certain Republican politicians are taking money from Pakistan in order to help and give planning to develop these enclaves, which is not following American values at all. None of these communities will share the American values on freedom of speech, any of the values you hold dear, democracy, all of these values. I saw a stat, it was 26% of American Muslims want Sharia law. You have a problem. That will grow and grow and grow.
So is Texas the new frontier for Islam? It seems to be so. We've got different enclaves that we know here in America. We know about Minneapolis and the Somali community, which is Islamic. We now have seen within New York City in particular. Could you imagine 25 years ago when the towers fell, 9/11, we would elect an Islamic mayor, not only an Islamic mayor, who is Muslim, who is communist and wants complete communism, socialism on the kind of political construct along with his Islamic faith 25 years later? Are we being invaded? I would dare say that we're being colonized every single day here in America. And Texas is the battleground right now. Now, I have a theory behind this. I don't have any evidence. I don't have any pamphlet from the Muslim Brotherhood. But here is my theory. I believe if they can take down Texas, then the rest of the republic falls to the Islamification of America, which is contrary to the Constitution. It's contrary to our Judaic Christian values, and it is incompatible to the West. I dare say once again, we don't have the enemy that's right up against our gates, right outside of them. They are inside our walls. They're invading, they're colonizing, and they want to build Sharia, the Islamic way within America. Well, thank you for coming to our channel, Stuff You Missed. I'm David Hancock, been a pastor for more than 20 years, and I have a deep passion of really continuing the great Judeo-Christian tradition of the United States of America. So, hey, subscribe, comment, like, share. I really appreciate your support, and let's continue to make sure that God blesses America. See you next time.